What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Dream Chasers. I'm your host, General Moses, today joined by the one and only. You know what? He's going to have to tell us what his last name is because I've seen like three last names now, but I'll just call him Cameron Trackstack because that's how I have him saved in my contacts. And
Yeah,
um, do you want to, are you allowed to give your government name there, Mr.
yeah,
Cameron, or
yeah. It's Cameron Jenkinson.
Jenkinson it is?
Cameron
Okay.
Embling is like my artist name, so that's what I go by when it's in the Trackstack world.
It's all
It's just
making
because
sense now.
I'm making music too, so thought it was very
Man,
relevant.
that is one thing I'm very much looking forward to. I'm sure as any artist is too, but I know all the work that you're putting into Trackstack and to see you get to a point where some of that energy can spill into your creative side, which I'm sure it's already doing it behind the scenes, but to see you launch, I am looking forward to that. So,
Yeah, thank you, man.
um,
It's taking time. It takes time to make
yeah.
time for it.
And you've got the brain that I always tell people that I'm envious of, but I think you pointed out to me sometimes it's nice to be wired the other way. I'm a very much shotgun approach, shoot from the hip. Version one is better than version none, but if you've never done it before, if I've never done it before, I don't care. I'm just going to dive in there and try and figure it out. That has backfired before. That definitely has backfired. Your approach is a bit more methodical and strategic, and sometimes I feel like that's my shortcoming sometimes. So I admire that about you, your patience and willingness to like make sure it's on point when it's ready.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. I mean, I've done different incarnations of the music thing. But I feel like this time I had the space to actually learn how to make music because before I was just kind of making music, which is what it is about. But I didn't really understand what I was doing. And there's definitely a process to it that makes it easier, a bit more fast, a bit faster. And for someone who's quite time conscious, I don't have hours and hours sitting in the studio. So when I get in there, I want to know like what I'm doing. I've got a formula that I can run with and I come out with some outcome. And most of the time, it's just an idea that I'm really happy with. However, what I noticed by trying to do that is it kind of robs the fun of it. And that's a big topic for me with music, which is like music's supposed to be something that gives you joy. And it's supposed to be something that you really love to do. So now when I make music, I do it when I feel spontaneous, when I'm just feeling like I want to like create some energy, create some movement in my life and not have it as like another task, another to do, because I already have so many to dos. And it's like, this is just a break. So as when I make music now, I've got my knowledge. I've got like, I need to do this. I need to do these things, but I kind of I don't follow it that rigidly. I'm not there like perfectly mixing it and getting every element in. I'm just kind of grooving with it. And I think that is important because there's so much musical knowledge out there in education that it can be it's just like when you start a startup actually it's easy to keep watching YouTube videos about how to start a startup and sometimes you just got to start a startup and try your best and same with music I think as well.
That's a very interesting point for a couple of reasons. So, are you familiar with a guy named Naval Ravikant?
Yes, I like Naval Ravikant. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
It's funny. I bought his book off of a recommendation from someone like well over a year ago, and it just sat on my shelf. And then recently, I saw an interview he did with Chris Williamson, and I was like, dude, this guy, he's just speaking to my soul right now. He talked about one thing you mentioned, which is the power of inspiration and just how fleeting inspiration is. And he admitted it's obviously easy for him at this point in his life and this point in his career to just be like, hey, I'm not going to keep a schedule. I'm not going to keep a calendar. He feels that living your life that way kind of it puts you in a box in many different ways. So I do like that he was like, okay, I get that I can kind of do this more easily than maybe some people who are just like listening right now. But I think it's something that I'm keeping in mind for sure now. Like I do want to get to that point as quickly as possible where I can just wake up and be like, what am I doing today? I don't need to like look at my calendar or whatever. And the reason why you talked about that is because when you get that moment of inspiration and you kind of talked about, making music into your calendar versus hopping into Ableton or Logic or, whatever your preference is when you're feeling it. it is two different vibes. And if you can capture the one where you're feeling it, we've seen it and heard this story thousands of times throughout history.
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's something I also try and apply to work as well. So one of the things that I talk about a lot is uh, presence over pressure. And it's about how we like to grind over a lot of our life, grind over with the work, grind over with plans, grind over with goals, grind over with more to dos. And it's really cool. It's good to have goals, it's good to have vision. Well, and vision is really important, but goals have always been like a thing that I've not really taken that seriously, mainly because it robs you of flexibility. And I think the spontaneity that we kind of lust for in like things like music, and when we look at people traveling, and when we look at sort of like the outcome of all our work, like, oh, one day I'll have loads of free time, or I'll have loads of money, and then I can be more spontaneous and adventurous. um a lot of that way of thinking is how I used to think, and I still do think like that. But what I try and do now is I try and literally create everything from intuition. So like all the work, all the decisions, all the business plans, all of the ideas, just from a rough day. Like it can change. Like the vision of Trackstack can change, the plans of Trackstack can change. The milestones don't change too much. Like there's these like big things that we need to do. So it's not like there's no structure there, but within that structure, it's like how we get there and like what's best can change and is flexible. And I find that as like just a daily experience, a lot more fun, and I enjoy the process. So that is really important as well when it comes to making music, because when you're a professional making music, obviously you need to apply like the business mind to it. Like, okay, I need to do this. I need to make these EPs. I need to make this album. I need to do this remixing. And so you have to kind of adopt a bit of a smart workflow to it. But I think it's important that we all try and work from intuition as much as we can. So there might be a couple things in our day that we have to do, but then there should be a lot of freedom for the rest of the day. And that's not an excuse for being unproductive or not doing work. I think it's really important to pinpoint, like, if you're actually just not doing stuff and you're doing things that are relevant, then maybe that way of that way of orientating yourself is not a place where you can operate yet, and you still need a lot of structure and a lot of goals. But I feel like there is a lot more joy in the day to day when you don't have so much rigidness to your day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I also heard recently, um, in regards to trusting your gut, some people may say following your heart, that intuition. There is actually studies have shown some type of, and don't quote me on this, but definitely feel free anyone to look it up. Uh, there's some type of almost like brain power that your heart does have, and that's why when you do feel a certain way about someone or something, and you get that that vibe or that gut feeling that people talk about, it's a real thing. It's scientifically shown. So one moment to transition here to something I know we wanted to dive into as well is once I finally had a chance to get deeper into track stack, it was one of those moments where basically instantly, once my account was set up, I'm like, man, I get this. Like, I totally get this as an artist, as a creator, as a I see the ability to get in there as a label or even a curator. The reason why it clicked so quickly for me it's pay to play or get out. And as someone who's really started this career within the past 3, I guess maybe going on 4 years now, uh, to get to where I want to go faster is all I can really think about. And the one lesson I've just learned with life is if you can pay to just get to that next level, it's almost always worth it. So So yeah, so that's what I like about Trackstack's model. Could you talk about, did you guys go through moments where you were debating on, do we do something for free? I'm sure there's people all the time who are like, oh, it's too expensive. You're
Oh
always
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
get that whether it's $20 a month or 20K a month. Like I don't like someone there's always gonna be someone who, who wants a deal. Uh but yeah, I see other people I know too who would have a problem with that. And I'm just like, this is the way. This is the way. So tell us about how you guys came up with that structure.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Thank you for asking it. So it took a lot of time to decide that we were just going to value Trackstack from the beginning, and we were going to make it something that people need to value. A lot of software products are free, and so we don't really take them that seriously, and we don't really unlock the actual value of it because we don't spend time on it. And so that speaks to a lot of things that we can buy in our life as people. The more we spend on it, typically, the more we value it and the more we invest our energy into it. That's why if you invest in one to one personal training, you're going to show up and you're probably going to get a better result than just buying an ebook and trying to do it yourself. So the value of something is really important. And when we started Trackstack, because we're a bootstrapped company, we don't have VC funding. We decided that, well, one, we needed to demonstrate that what we we're doing was something that could make money because we needed to make money. And secondly, we knew from our early days of like the MVP that when we let people send for free, and you can still send for free, like I want to underpin that. Like people listening is thinking they have to pay to send tracks. You can send tracks on Trackstack to any public inbox for free, and that's fine. And that will never change. But I think what the product represents is like a stepping into building a network that is like bigger than your current one. And so that is for professionals only. It's not for amateurs. It's not for people dabbling. It's for people who want to go get it. And so we carve that out and put a line in the sand and say, if that's not who you are yet, then cool. You can go and do it another way. You can send DMs, you can send emails. There's plenty of ways to get the attention of DJs and labels. Trackstack is not the only solution to that. But I feel like when you pay, you're joining a community as a membership. You're joining like a level of professionality in there. And that's why we decided that we wanted people who were serious about their music, and $20 to kind of get your music ahead and get signed, which is what you started it for, to get it played by some of the world's best DJs. It's like, isn't that worth it to you? Like, how serious are you about this if you're not willing to pay for that opportunity?
Alex Hermosi says, you got to make an offer so good that people feel stupid saying no to it. And I'm like, that this is it, you know.
It's funny.
So
So we read that book when we were doing it.
yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
well, we read the book and we were trying to, because we were brand new to all this. We didn't really know how to put an offer together, and that's the thing. Like me and George are, this is our first business, so everything is brand new for us, and all the decisions, again, we made from intuition. Like it felt right to charge for it. We had the data, we had the information that if we let everyone in for free, it gets a bit spammy and people don't take it seriously and they send it to everybody. And we decided, we can't have that, even if it means we have less people using it. We'd rather have like a smaller amount of customers that really get it and investing in themselves. And we see that in the data patterns as well. People often leave, not because they don't enjoy it. Sometimes they don't enjoy it or it's not for them, which is fine. Most of the time, it's like they came in, they sent their music, they didn't really get anywhere. So they're taking some time out to maybe work on their skills, work on their direction, work on their sound. And a lot of people come back in a few months later to start sending again. And we see that a lot. And that's cool that we don't count that as like a negative.
I
Um,
think one thing for sure that you guys I'm just assuming have to be excited about is these other two verticals of the company that are being built, because one of them I'm can't try to remember the name.
Studio,
Studio, the more community, that's a community one, yeah.
the community builder. Yeah.
I just feel like stickiness is going to have to go up at that point too. Could you talk about community and elevate was the other one?
Yeah. Elevate. Yeah. So I'll talk about both. So Studio is a all-in-one community builder for like electronic music professionals. So It could be for artists, it can be for labels, and it can be for music educators. So people are kind of going down the road of being like creators of music education. So it's a way for you to build like any type of community around like the experience you want to provide to your professional fans or your, you know, your students. And you can imagine it like Patreon or Circle, Kajabi or WAP, and it's like customizable in the way that you can build it with different apps and modules, so you can really build the right experience that you want to offer to your members and monetize that in a way that is flexible to you. So for example, a music educator will be predominantly uploading video tutorials and offering services like track feedback and mixing and mastering, and their sample packs and their templates, and maybe their one-to-one mentoring. And so Studio allows you to build like a basically the operational system for that community. So the business model, the payments, all of the interactions that need to happen, and the content management. So it's kind of like a full operating system for a community. And the label, they could do it as well and build something around their events, their releases, their, you know, fanning, like I guess professional fans of the label can interact with each other and get exclusive access to things. And a label can build a community around their sound, and the same for an individual DJ. And no one's really done this. People have tried to do it in different places, and we see people running them in Telegram and Discord and WhatsApp, and no one's really thought about, well, how do we sort of really leverage this from a monetization point of view? Like how does this benefit the label on the bottom line? How does this benefit me as an artist on the bottom line? Because that's what Trackstack is really concerned with. We want people to have sustainable careers, which often means like sustainable incomes.
Sure. Yeah, that I'm stoked for you guys to launch this. And I think also on top of no one's ever done it before angle, uh, no one's ever done it for this niche either. I think that's to me the other thing is like, okay, this is made for me. It's not just, as you mentioned, another Telegram, Discord, WhatsApp chat. Um, and also I do see for the for those listening, you might not catch it, but the sun is slowly setting onto Cameron here. Do you want to? Are you able to adjust that, or are we just gonna rock with
Yeah,
it?
I'm gonna move in a little bit forward.
Okay, yeah. I mean, all good, whatever your preference is, but I could see that that sun was moving. So, but yeah, man, it's something that the industry has, to my knowledge. I mean, I'm sure there's been variations of it, right? But the way you guys are doing it, I don't think it's been done this way yet. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see like the change in thinking that, oh, I'm a label and I can create a community as well that benefits the label. And we've got our professional fans and DJs that really like what we do and all the releases we do, and might lead to the labels also taking on some like educational aspects of like how they vet, you know, how their A&R process, and how they look for their certain sound. And it's not always so sort of strict with the boundaries. We want to encourage people to think about different um, monetization models and like experiences for their professional fans that like really benefit both people. And no one's really kind of come into that space with that much dedication to music. Obviously, a lot of creator platforms have to be quite wide and kind of cater to any types of creators and topics and interests, and fitness to, you know, clipping TikTok videos to, you know, anything. And that's great. But Trackstack is just electronic music. So you'll see like more deeper integrations with different streaming platforms and companies that were partnered with like Songstats. So you'll really be able to kind of bring in your world in a more minute way, which is going to be really cool. I'm excited to see what people create. So that will be coming out over the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's also gonna uh, narrow the gap between an artist and their following and a label and their following. It's almost like if you can kind of create your own label in a way as an artist just by building that community in a focused manner. Another thing that comes to mind is like Instagram kind of has these channels and stuff too, but it's just, I don't know. There's just something about it that's missing, if you ask
It's
me. I
very noisy, and
think that's it.
there's a lot going on Instagram already with like all your friends and you know, your people's individual chats. So a lot of these channel chats get a little bit lost. And so your intention when you come on there is not really to, you know, connect with other members around that label. It's just to kind of, it's just another thing that we need to catch up on. Whereas with Studio, we've designed it so it's its own isolated environment, unlike school and some other platforms where you're on school and then you can bounce between different communities. You would be like on an experience like a website or the mobile version of their community. There's nothing else. It's just their thing, and they can brand it how they want it and customize it. So when you go there, you've set out with an intention of being in their community for a period of time. So hopefully that will lead to like just more focus, right? This whole world is about attention and focus, and sometimes that can be lost whilst, you know, really the reason why that is the platforms want you on their tool as much as possible, which is fine. You know, that's the business model they need to operate as a walled garden. That's like the 101 internet business model. However, at Trackstack, we, you know, want to empower the people that use it as much as possible. So we took the route of like the Shopify approach, which is that is yours. You know, we'll help you customize it, build the back end, like you're in safe hands, but like it's still yours. You know, you have to drive people to it. You know, we're not going to push loads of people to it. But it's kind of your thing. And that's really important. Companies like Shopify really changed the narrative of e-commerce and, you know, allowed people to run a niche online e-commerce store with, you know, more confidence than sort of just going straight to Amazon.
Now you got me wondering, is that the next partnership? Because I'm sure communities that build their community through Studio are probably going to want to sell merch. Now, obviously, you can drop external links and stuff in there, but do you think, is that something you guys have talked about?
Uh, yeah, we've talked about like like integrations with Shopify and different app partners. I think that's definitely on the cards. We build our own versions as well. Like, I think a lot of the common use cases like selling and content and chat and like video, we'll probably just roll our own. And then like the more specialized ones would integrate with partners, like all the music ones, for instance.
I feel like,
Uh,
yeah, merch sales, all everyone
yeah,
knows if done right, those crush it. And then you guys can
yeah,
get, you know, get a
yeah,
piece of it.
yeah, yeah. That would be nice. I mean, we've already had, so the guys that are running in the studio beta at the moment, like they're, you know, some of them are doing really, really well in a very short period of time. So it really validates that there's like a big demand for like creator tools for this industry that, you know, speak more to the use cases and workflows that make sense within like these memberships. Because typically what happens is they'll reach for a generic platform and then they'll bolt on other software tools to like do the whole offer. So whether it's like track feedback or mixing and mastering, and then the members have to go to different places. And then already it's a bit dysfunctional and not as streamlined. And you lose control, you lose data, you lose like conversion funnels go weird. And as a business owner running like an internet business, like you need to have as much visibility on what you're doing as possible. So having it all in one place is like what we would love to all have. But with Studio, it will be very much like that. It's like an operating system. It's all in one place. And we've seen that, you know, the beta studios that are running their entire business on it. So um, we've already proven that this is working and there's real revenue going through, and it's just about expanding the
Mhm.
platform to basically
I'm
enable anybody to create their community around music, so labels and artists.
I'm nerding out on this, and I could probably keep asking questions about Studio for the rest of our time. I do want to talk about Elevate and some other stuff. So before I forget, my last question for Studio right now. One thing that I like about Circle, as you mentioned Circle earlier in particular, is when you join a community by default, and I'm sure there's some people who would be like, oh, you know, I don't like that or whatever. But I think by default, this is a good setting to keep engagement up. The community I'm in, I get all the email notifications by default, and the way the emails come through, um, I don't know. They always get my attention. I don't know what their, the secret sauce is and how they do that. But do you think Studio? You think you guys will have that set up so it's kind of like a email notifications by
Yeah,
default? Okay.
yeah. And then you'll be able to choose which ones you want and what the owners want to send out. Yeah, we already kind of have that every time there's a new post. We kind of send it. We kind of emulated Circle emails initially as well.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
way they do it.
We're not like we're not hiding like that. We do reference these products and take what we like from them. That's a really good way to build products, is taking products that you like and creating something new. And same with music. It's the exact same process. Like we, you know, inbox is email meets Dropbox and SoundCloud, very simply. So, sometimes it's hidden in plain sight, but it's the way you remix it and put it together that is the art and the thing that makes it unique, right?
Yeah. To Steve Jobs' way, man. What was it? The first iPhone thing on stage is like, it's internet and music in your pocket or
Yeah.
something like that. And everyone's
Yeah.
like,
Steve Jobs is a big proponent of that, still like an artist, I mean, you take what works because everything's built on top of everything anyway. Everything is just layers of existing ideas. It's just composed all in a different way. And you can apply the same principle to building products, coming up with marketing strategies, anything. And typically it's good to give you guardrails as well. So you're not straying too far.
okay, so you talked about things being built on top of each other. Please hold me honest to making sure we talk about Elevate. But there's another question. It's a moment of inspiration. I got to grab it before it flies away. AI is a hot topic right now. And I think everyone listening knows, okay, yeah, I can go on Chat GPT or Claude or Google, fill in the blank with one of these bigger ones that everyone uses and do some pretty cool things. But I'm just wondering, for you in particular, is there any AI tools? It doesn't even have to be in music. Is there any tools that you're using consistently or that you found recently that you've kind of said, wow, like this is a big game changer? Any golden nuggets you could share with everyone?
Yeah. So we use AI quite extensively in our team, and we are starting to bring AI into the product for like the user facing side. So we use Claude, which is our main like model and set of models we use. And the engineers and myself, we use Claude Code a lot, and Opus 4, which is a really powerful model. And the team uses Claude as well, but just like the desktop version. And we're now working on Truman, which is our like internal AI. And that's going to be a agent that works on each team. We have 3 teams: product, growth, and customer success. And on each team is an agent, and is specialized to help that team. And so we use Claude, and we use this concept called MCP, which is kind of like a USB stick for a AI model to connect to different sources and tools. So it could connect to a different database, it can connect to Slack or something like this. And what we've done is we've created a agent to help our team. So if you're in the growth team and you want to know like which inbox customers lapsed last week to reach out to them, you can just say to Truman, hey, give me a list of the inboxes that lapsed last week because I want to reach out to them. And it will go and get that and give you back in Slack. Or another one that we've built recently is our QA engineer says there's a bug. So we take the description and what he's like figured out about it, and we feed it into Truman and say, hey, can you go and investigate and fix this bug or try and fix this bug? And it will go into the code base, try and fix it, put up a PR for us to review. And then we're also doing that for like actually adding new features as well. And so now we can run in parallel in the cloud, basically as many processes as we want to enhance our team. So it means we can essentially enhance our team and make them better at what they do faster, without having to hire additional people, which is something we don't want to do. We're like quite adamant on staying under 12 people. Because after 12 people, things start to go weird, and me and George just don't want to deal with politics. Um, So how do you make the 12 people like elite? It's like, well, you give them AI like capabilities. You know, it's not to replace them. It's like you enhance their skills. And it's a really powerful way to think about work. It's all brand new. Like it's just a really powerful way to think about work because now you get to have team members delegate what they would delegate to like someone else to an agent, and then that agent's doing it. And they're like they can be pretty repetitive things like outreach or data collection or, you know, fixing bugs is something as a developer we don't always want to do. So having like at least 80% of it done, like that's, you know, a few hours saved, and you multiply that over the week, it's you get more time to do what you really want to do.
It's man, it's so exciting. It's crazy how fast it's moving too. I like I like to know because I think the way it's shifting right now is probably in 6 to 12 months, creating your own agent will also probably take it'll be something the average user can do. I think there's definitely a barrier to entry right now, understanding coding and what apps to use. That's actually kind of personally what I'm in the middle of is I've made a few custom GPTs. Like, yeah, I'm feeling like I'm ahead of the game. But as soon as, and I think with AI and a lot of this tech that moves fast, really, as
It
soon as
does
you,
move really fast. Yeah.
as soon as you think you're ahead of the game, you're like, oh wait. So, but being ahead of the game, even by like 3 months in this environment, I think is massive. So,
Yeah, it's hard to
what?
stay ahead, but I think it's about finding like a path that works for your particular like set of problems. And that's just hard. It's hard to sit down and think it through. Um but so we're just trying to experiment with this agent, human to agent symbiosis, we call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Truman, you said you guys use sounds Claude pretty religiously, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, we use
Dabbled
Claude a
I've
lot.
dabbled with Claude and I love it. I'm one of those. I actually would like to know your take on this, especially because you're a tech guy. I feel like I've just gotten so deep with Chat GPT and everything it knows about me, and I know how to. I've got all these custom GPTs that I've made on there. My life is so integrated to it. So like I'll use some other LLMs, the right terminology, right? Like I'll use some other LLMs
Yeah.
periodically. Claude being one of them, just to switch it up. But did you run into this problem? Like, did you go deep into one and then you're like, oh, we got to move over to Claude, or what's
Yeah,
your?
I think you know what? We just kind of got going with Claude for work from the get-go. So we just really never gave ChatGPT the same level of commitment. I think some of our team members use ChatGPT more. Um, I think ChatGPT is good for some tasks. Like I use it for personal stuff, but I don't use it for work because Claude gives you this thing called artifacts, which is like the output, and it can be like wireframes, it can be PDFs, it can be like tables, it can be code, and it's much easier to work with in a working environment. And I think their models are a lot more optimized for that.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about a whole nother 3 hour podcast we could do on this topic. That's really helpful to hear your take. Oh, you said so. You guys are using Claude for a lot of the creation. Did you use a specific app um, to create Truman?
So we use Claude.
You did. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, to help us architect what we're trying to do. But then we've just deployed it on our existing infrastructure. So
Okay.
it sounds like it's really complex, but it's not too bad. Like it's just it's essentially just interacting with the model for you without you having to do it.
Is it like an artifact basically that's then connected to like Slack, I guess you could say?
Yeah, exactly. So the Slack's the interface, like the input. So that's where we can like issue commands because we don't want to. We could build like a chat interface and host it and have all our team log in, but Slack's quite nice and everyone's used to Slack and you can. It's also chat based, so it kind of makes sense to do it. So you're just interacting with a Slack bot, but the commands are also communicating with Claude as API. Yeah, yeah. But my friend, my business partner George, he's on Reddit all the time, like looking at what students are doing, because apparently the students are the ones that you should watch because they have all the time to experiment.
Man, did you see? There was some clip of a student graduating from UCLA. Uh, and the camera pans to him as he's celebrating, and he's showing the camera how he used Chat GPT to like pass every single thing that he did that year or
No.
something like that. Man, it's just, you look at the education space too, and you just wonder how, how are universities going to adapt? Okay, so we've teased it out enough. Elevate is the other component, really, of, I guess what you guys are calling it, Trackstack 2.0,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's the final new thing we'll launch at
Let's
the end of the year. So
let's talk about Elevate. Yeah,
Elevate is essentially Elevate is about for the artist about taking your tracks and then the next next level. So you might have a track and you're like, I want to like get this better. And typically, how do you make a track better? It's like you get it engineered. You get it engineered to sound better, to be mixed better, to have the have a different arrangement. And typically, you work with professionals to do that. And that's something that happens already. Everyone's got their mixing engineer that they go to when they finish a track, or their mastering engineer. Everyone's got a friend who's more willing to put down a few hours of real feedback to get you that, take you from 95% to a finished track. And Elevate is about one, giving you access to people so you can build your own team around yourself, but then also people who are willing to start selling their expertise, a way for them to like begin getting into that and sell it for the first time. And for existing people, obviously, to maybe streamline how they're doing it right now, because a lot of it is done through, I guess, manual, like, hey, just send me money to my bank, or yeah, book me, and it's a bit messy and it's not very streamlined. So it's hard to scale it and have new customers come into your world. So Elevate is kind of like a way for you to streamline your professional service business. And it's a stepping stone to, say, studio, because if you're doing one-to-ones and track feedback and you're earning some money and you're like, okay, cool, like music education is something I really enjoy. I like supporting artists in this way. Uh, Studio would be a natural next step, because at some point you'll reach a point where you can't increase your rates, but you also can't scale your time, because either you're committed to being an artist at the same time or you just don't have the time. And so the next step is to obviously scale your knowledge through online content or group based cohorts or any other business model that kind of works to scale. And that's what Studio would enable. And so the reason we started to create Elevate was that people were selling their professional services without much structure, and it's quite messy. And people weren't ready to start a studio because they never really done like sharing expertise before. So Elevate is just a bit of a melting pot for helping people get into that, find people, build their team, and then obviously streamline what they're already doing, so that if they meet the right criteria for themselves to say, hey, look, like I'm doing one-to-ones all day and I'm exhausted, I want to free up my time, they might start making the same content that they're kind of giving people on a Zoom session every day. They might make their own version of that into a course, and they're like, hey, look, you can work one-to-one with me, but it's this price. But if you want to like learn what I am teaching, you can go over here. And so it's like, you don't lose people. And I hear that a lot with people who do one-to-ones, is they end up losing people because
yeah.
they they can't keep up with it, or they want to increase their prices.
I feel like you guys, and you probably feel the same way. You got to be first to market with this, especially for this niche. There's a community that I'm a part of, which forever changed the trajectory of my career. But one area where I kind of always felt like I wish there was more is exactly what you're talking about. It's like I got the education and just all that you would get with a course that you could kind of ever really want. Um, but then after that, it's kind of like everyone's in a Facebook group, and again, Facebook is so noisy. You get in there, you get a notification from your grandma, someone picture their dog, babies. Next thing you know, oh, I forgot I was in here to look at this alumni group that I'm a part of. It's tough, and so um, maybe you guys got, like you said, some inspiration. I know for me, from using Circle in particular, I love when I use Circle. It's like, oh, all the education's right here, all the people in the community are right here, like everything's just right there. Being able to, I guess, to your point, provide that focus to the user is just huge. So I love it, man. I'm looking forward to these getting
Yeah,
rolled
man.
out. What's the
Yeah, yeah.
timeline again?
So well, studio is kind of in beta, so that will come into like full, like you can just sign up, start building a community probably within the next few months, and then Elevate will be shortly after. So by the end of the year, the whole 2.0 platform will be out, and we're kind of calling it like the revenue engine for electronic music professionals. That's kind of like will be the repositioning, and yeah, next year will be about like really just kind of making that really clear and providing people with examples, aspirational examples, because I think for the most part, everyone associates Trackstack with, get supported and played by DJs and get signed. And that's a really core part of what we do. It's like the bedrock. But we also want to celebrate people who are like making it work behind the scenes and are not so like flashy at the front of the DJ booth, but actually people who are like, living real lives and DJing a few times a month because they want to, but actually, running this amazing music education business. And they're like, they live that flexibility and that lifestyle that people are wanting, but it's just in a different way. I think it's really important to communicate that to people that yeah, you can go try and go down that road to be a pro DJ and, you know, be a superstar and like play around the world. But it's like anything. It's like there's a few slots and it's hard work, but you can also supplement that journey with, as you grow in your expertise and experience, you can do both. And eventually you'll kind of have moments where you're more on the stage, and then you have moments where you're more like in the background. And that's just the nature of music itself. All the DJs that I used to really like are, a little bit more quiet now. And a few of them are doing communities because it is like their way of creating a career and sustaining it. So it's a real talk, like I really want to underline that. Like DJs have longevity and there's a cycle of it. So like you can be hot for a bit and then you can come out of that when things shift, when that age group that followed you start to have children and they have their own plans and they don't go out as much. And so like me and my sort of age group, the millennial age group, yeah, like people are having children, they're having bigger decisions. They don't want to party anymore. They don't want to go to every rave. They don't
That
care
part
about
that
the
part
latest
does
DJ.
does, does kill me as a dad of toddlers. I mean, like I think people should always party. And if there's
Yeah,
anyone
no,
gotten that
yeah.
inspiration, I got that inspiration from Mark Knight. He's like, "What's with everyone saying, oh, you're 50, you got to hang it out. Like, just if you got to go out earlier, go out earlier. But come on, guys."
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. It's very true. But you're right. Music changes though. The cycles of music changes. Yeah. So like things that were hot like 5 years ago are not as like hot now. And the DJs that were making that don't reflect that. And the lineups don't reflect that. So it's important to be building like an asset base around you that supports you when you've had your rise and the rise comes down and the rise might go up again. It's important to have something around you that you can rely on that isn't just trying to take any gig and any music opportunity, because then it kind of dilutes your sound and like what you stand for creatively.
Yeah. We got to bring this one down for a landing, but dude, it's been great
Yeah,
having
man.
you on the show, and I'm thinking in my mind, we'll keep him a mystery for now, but I know there's that mutual friend we have who's very involved with what you're building, and I
Oscar.
think okay, if you want to drop his name, yeah, I
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. No, we want to drop his name.
getting
Yeah.
both of you guys on here, that would be really cool to just hear the ideas that come up. I'm sure since you know each other so well, there'd be some good humor in that episode too. But
Oh yeah, we're good together. We can do it.
I'll touch base with him. We were emailing a couple weeks ago to get you back on here. But Cameron, yeah, thank you for investing your most valuable resource with all of our hustlers here today, and that's your focus, as we talked about on the show. Thank you for focusing and delivering what you guys are working on at Trackstack. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, everyone. It's been another episode of Dream Chasers, where hustle meets house. Our show is brought to you by House of Hustle. If you head over to houseofhustleltd.com right now and punch in the discount code HUSTLE15, it's 15% off whatever you want, merch, sample packs. We got a bunch of cool stuff going on over there, especially right now. So go check it out, houseofhustleltd.com. And also remember to check out the show notes so you connect with Cameron of Trackstack. You guys are awesome. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level and keep on hustling.